everybody, what is up? It is Grey Moon Ghost here, coming back at you with another video. So, I know this video is a tiny bit different than my normal videos. So, I went to college for creative writing, if you guys didn't know. So, I do write once in a while still. I don't really share my writing that much these days because I haven't really written anything that I'm very proud of and then I want to share with you guys, but this story that I've been working on, I really want to share with you guys. So, it's actually fan fiction. Yeah. Well, kind of fan fiction, I should say. So, if you've watched my reaction to my old videos, you would have seen my friend Steph, who did the God Warrior reactment. She's the one that was the God Warrior. So, she's also a pretty good writer. And she's been writing fan fiction about Septiplier. So, I know. Septiplier is like people have been taking it and driving with it really too sexually. She is doing some sexual stuff with it. I'm not. This isn't actually about Septiplier, really. They're in it, but they're not like, I'm not sexualizing them in any way, shape, or form. You write fan fiction like that, fine. I don't write sexual stuff, usually. And this is a story about me, somewhat. Okay, so in her story, she writes about Jack coming to visit Mark and LA, and in her story, in our world, we have supernaturals, like werewolves, vampires, witches, whatever, you name it, they're real. So, Jack and Mark are werewolves, or in her story, she calls them shifters. And at some point, they have to go on the run because these normal humans, called the hunters, are after them. So my story is taking place in the point of view of a hunter. Now, I do run into Jack and Mark in my own story, but they're not the focal point of my story. It's my character, Greywind. So, without further ado, let me read the book to my story, The Hunter. And I hope you enjoy. Prologue. Greywind stood there helplessly staring into the blue eyes of the young shifter in front of her. Behind her, a loud snarl could be heard. The young shifter's mate. How did my life come to this? She thought. Chapter 1. The School. Her family came from a long line of hunters that reached back to the Dark Ages. At the age of 2, she was already being trained to kill. As soon as she took her first steps, she was sent away to the school. There she was taught how to quickly assemble any type of weapon at her disposal, and how to properly aim and fire them. At the age of 18, she graduated the top of her class. Hoorah! Every day since I can remember, I have hated it here. In the training yard behind the barbed wire fence, I could see the normal kids playing games and enjoying life. In the school, we don't have time to play games. We are always training, readying for the hunt. I wish just for a day I could be out there playing with them instead of here. I don't fit in. I never have. I've always been an outsider. I have a better sense of sight, hearing, and smell than the other country kids. Which comes in handy, but it also gives me an advantage the other kids do not possess. What makes me the most different is my ability to see into the future. It has been hard to figure out how to control the visions when they come. The elders told me after I had my first vision that there used to be hunters with this ability, but the last one died centuries ago. After graduation, I was sent off to work at the local shop in our community. It was okay at first, but a thirst to know more about why I was so different got to the better of me. I wanted to know more about my ancestors, and how I came to have these visions and better senses. The library in town was huge. It was 2 floors, and after 2 years, I still hadn't found a damn thing. There are no books at all on hunters, period. How can this be? There are so many hunters living here that I would believe at least one book would exist. Walking slowly down the stairs from the second floor, she stopped short of the wall between the floors. On the wall was a really old candle holder. She had passed it dozens of times before, but this time she stopped to look at it. Something is telling me I should. Grabbing the right candlestick, she gave it a yank. The wall gave way in front of her. The wall gave way in front of her to reveal a dark, empty hallway. Tapping the flashlight app on her phone, she entered into the darkness. The wall slammed shut behind her, making her heart stop. I guess I'm not going out that way again, she thought. Guys, I just want to tell you the reason why I was kind of stumbling over my words on the bottom of the first page was because the ink didn't completely print the way it should have, so it was very liney and very hard to read. So that's why I was squinting a lot and I was having a hard time figuring out what it said. So just want to let you guys know. Okay, bye. At the end of the hallway was a medium-sized room. In the middle was a large table, surrounded by chairs. Across the room, a closed door stood gazing back at her. Possibly the way out? But what really caught her eye the most in this room were the bookcases that lined the rest of the room. Covered in dust and cobwebs, she grabbed the first book closest to her. A History of Bow Making by Reverend Thomas Henry. Are these? Flip, flip. They are! Books and diaries! Kept by the hunters! Finally! Maybe I can find the answers I've been looking for. Oh. Chapter 2. Answers. Flipping through the last diary on the shelf, her heart sank. The last hope of ever discovering where her abilities came from was lost. Damn it! All these books date back to the Dark Ages, and not a single one talks about the origins of these powers. The only thing I learned was the last hunter to have these lived 3 centuries ago. Frustrated, she slammed the diary onto the table with a loud thud. As she did so, a loud click sprang from the table. Next to her where she sat, a compartment opened to reveal a rolled-up scroll. Grabbing the scroll, her heart broke as she read the contents of a terrible prophecy. A hunter will be born in 1,000 moons from now. They will be the last hunter with the abilities of our ancestors. They will lead us into an age of peace and prosperity. The end of all supernaturals on this planet. They alone will take the final breath of the last remaining supernatural, for they are the chosen one. Gasping, she fell out of her chair with a loud thump. I have to be the end of all of them? Why me? I never wanted this. Her mind trailed off. Tears welled in her eyes. I've never taken a life before. I know all my training was for this, but I can't even imagine actually doing it. A deep voice rang in her ear. Now, class, the reason we are here on this planet is to protect the human race from the vile beings which we call the supernatural. Now, don't be fooled by their human appearances. They are anything but human. At any time, they can and will attack for no reason. They are beasts disguised as humans. Mr. Peters was a scary man. His dark brown eyes would turn black with intensity from every word he uttered. He could also be very persuasive. He was the biggest reason why I felt so much like an outcast. "You're wrong!" I accidentally yelled out in class. I knew right away the moment my words left my mouth I had made a terrible mistake. His eyes locked onto mine. "Excuse me?" I had to think of something clever and fast. I think even calling them at all to be human is wrong. They are beasts disguised as, well, beasts. Clever. The whole class just looked at me and laughed. During training class, Mr. Peters would always pick me as the target of his physical attacks. I had to learn real quick how to dodge his blows. The first time he picked me out of everyone, I almost lost consciousness. Blood was rolling down my cheek from my ear. I refused to give up. The next blow he tried to land, I saw coming. As he swung at me with the back of his hand, a vision came to me. I saw he was going to try and make contact with my neck, breaking it. I quickly ducked out of the way, and he stumbled and fell. Everyone was shocked. He made it clear to everyone that he was the only one who would be sparring with me. I think he felt like he had something to prove to all of them. Greywind refolded the scroll and put it back inside the compartment, closing it back up into the table and walking out the other door. Okay, I'm actually just going to end this episode here of my Hunter story. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button down below. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Greywind is out of here!